Hey everybody, welcome back to Adorned by Cherice. Today we're going to be making this beautiful slab of poppy earrings, perfect for the fall, and it's a simple tutorial. So stay tuned to see how I make these beauties. Okay, today we're working with Sculpey Primo, which is a pretty good polymer clay, and I'm using olive and copper. The copper is so pretty, has a little bit of shimmer to it, and it's perfect for fall. So yes, we're using these two colors together, and I'm using my dotting tool, my X-Acto knife, my tissue blade, and I also have my mold here. It's so cute and it has a lot of detail in it. We're going to get all the detail out of our mold today. And this is just a round cutter. I don't think I'll need to use that, but I have it out. So yeah. So let's get started and get our poppies together. When using your clay mold, just make sure that you condition your clay very well. I'm using Sculpey Primo. It is a pretty stiff clay. Well, to me it is. Some people say it's very soft, but I believe that it's a pretty stiff clay. So make sure that you do condition your clay, and then when you're putting it inside your mold, try to get it right into each and every little part of that mold so that you can pick up all the details possible. Okay, and once you start getting your clay inside the mold, also be sure to use a tool to push the clay down into each part of that mold, just like I said before, to make sure you can get each and every detail out of that mold as possible, and so that your poppy will look very gorgeous and pop out looking very realistic. So here I'm massaging that clay into the mold and making sure I get every detail. You can also use a roller like I'm doing here and press it in and just use as much or anything you can just to get that clay in there. Okay, so once you get your clay in there and you feel like it's pressed in pretty good and you're satisfied, what you want to do is you want to start pinching your mold around just to release it around the edges first. Very gently pinch it, and then you want to try to get it out. Do not stretch your mold too much because you don't want to rip it. Just gently keep going around and around until you can, gently get it out. You see how gorgeous that is? It picked up all the details. And so yeah, you just want to keep repeating this process over and over until you have as many poppies as you like, or if you're not using a poppy mold, as many of the whatever it is you're making for your slab. So here I have a tile that I purchased from Lowe's. It's a hardware store, and I use this to bake my items on. So I'm just cleaning it off and getting it ready to set all of my poppies on. I cleaned it off with rubbing alcohol, by the way. Okay, once I had a few of my poppies molded, I went ahead and rolled out a slab of my clay, and I rolled this out on a number 3 on my pasta machine, and that's a pretty thin setting, but that's good because these poppies are pretty thick and you don't want your earring backing to be too thick because the poppies are thick on their own. So yeah, I went ahead and rolled that out, and now I'm setting these on top of the slab in the placement that I like. Alright, so while I was making this slab, I thought it looked a little too plain, and I'm a little extra with everything I do, so I added some Pearl X powders to them. This is called Pearl X in Brilliant Gold, and I'm just going to be dusting a little bit over the petals and the middle part of the poppy. Okay, my poppy slab is all complete, so I went ahead and laid a piece of plastic wrap over the top so that I can smooth them down a little bit better to the back slab. You can also use liquid clay on each poppy if you would like, but I just prefer to smooth them down and they stuck very well to the back of the slab perfectly fine. Okay, now the fun part. We can start cutting out our earring shapes. This cutter is from Etsy. It's just a simple arch and I felt like it used a lot of my poppy. I can, have a big cutout of each poppy with this type of cutter. And so I'm just going to cut out each of my pieces. If you ever find yourself having a difficult time getting through the clay, like this here, I'm using a little board. It's an acrylic board, and I just press down to get all the way through to the bottom of the slab. Okay, here are my pieces and I'm very satisfied with them. So now we're just going to go ahead and move on to sanding these and then I'll come up with the stud to match these with. Okay, so I'm taking my little Dremel here. It's a Dremel stylus and I'm just going over the sides to smooth out any of the edges that are a little rough from cutting. And I'm just using a buffer wheel because polymer clay is pretty soft anyway. And so I just use a buffer to sand out the sides of my pieces and make them, smooth and professional looking. And for the stud of my earring, I decided to use a simple black half circle because I just thought that these poppies, they make a statement all on their own. So I just wanted them to, take center stage. So I'm using a simple black stud to attach to the top of my earring. Now I'm using my Dremel to also make the holes for my jump rings. Here I'm using my Q-tip dipped in rubbing alcohol to clean any debris or anything on the back of my posts, on the back of my components so that when I attach the posts, they will stick very well. And you also want to make sure they're clean because if you're using UV resin, which is what I do, you want to make sure that it can, adhere very well. So clean off your backs with rubbing alcohol and then start the process of attaching your posts. If you would like a full video on how to attach posts, let me know in the comments and I'll make that. But yeah, just go ahead and make sure they're clean and then start attaching your posts. Okay, here I'm adding a little dab of glue. This is just to hold the post in place while I place my UV resin and cure them. But again, if you would like to see that process in a separate video, let me know in the comments and I'll show you my UV resin process. Here we are, my finished pieces. I added the components and I added gold jump rings, and I just love the way these look. They're very intricate and they just look so lovely. You can go ahead and shop this collection on my website, adornedbycherice.com, if you would like a pair of your very own. I make all of my earrings by hand just like this, and they're just made with a lot of detail and care. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.